The story begins with the protagonist immersed in a game. For him, this world is everything. His only purpose is to grow stronger within it. After dedicating all his time and effort, he has finally reached this moment. He now stands on the verge of becoming the strongest. With unwavering focus, he unleashes his special move, Phoenix Fist. In an instant, the monster turns to ashes. Other players are left stunned. A creature that no one else could defeat is erased effortlessly by his bare hands. He shares that this is the world of a VR MMORPG. Within it, he has built a reputation. Someone who fights using fists, considered the weakest weapon, yet trains relentlessly to overcome that limitation. Before the game's services shut down, he achieves his ultimate goal, defeating every boss. He logs out and removes his headset, realizing he made it just in time. But with that, his strength disappears. Back in reality, he feels how weak his body has become. He hasn't eaten properly in 2 weeks and wonders if he might actually die. Yet, he feels no regret. Suddenly, a woman shakes him awake. Still confused, he hears her urge him to hurry and get ready. Disoriented, he looks around, unsure where he is, until his father's voice reaches him, calling him Kazuya. Shock sets in. He realizes he is in his parents' house, a place he left 10 years ago. He looks at himself and freezes. He should be 30 years old, so why does he look like a teenager? At that moment, the news begins reporting a monster outbreak. His father grows uneasy, but his mother reassures him that everything will be handled by the Adventurers Guild. Kazuya is left confused. The reporter explains that a large-scale monster has appeared, an evil boar classified as a large-type creature. Kazuya is stunned. Monsters exist in this world? He returns to his room, trying to process everything. There, he finds a school pamphlet. As he reads it, disbelief grows. In this world, people attend specialized schools to learn how to subjugate monsters, and he is about to enroll in one. There are many things he needs to figure out, including how he ended up here. But one thing is clear, he knows how to fight. No matter what, he will become the Fist King again. Just like in the game, even in this new world. With his goal set, he grabs his phone to gather information. He learns that it is a middle school and he will be placed in the swordsman course. Curious, he looks into the curriculum. The course trains students over 3 years, teaching skills like Sword Bash Level 5 and Fire Allow Level 5. He is shocked. These are all skills from the game. If this world follows the same system, then these are only beginner-level abilities, and they take 3 full years to learn. The realization disheartens him. What is the point of such slow progress? He then wonders how to check his stats. In the game, he would simply say, "Status," to bring up the interface. Frustrated, he starts shouting it repeatedly, but nothing happens, until his mother tells him to be quiet. He asks her if she knows anything about his status. Instead, she hands him a skill sheet believing this is what he's talking about, informing him that it's needed for the entrance ceremony. He opens it and is left speechless. His weapon proficiency is extremely low, and he only has a single stamina recovery skill. Panic sets in. With stats like these, can he even get into middle school? His father enters his room and explains that attending school will help him learn more skills. But to Kazuya, it feels hopeless. Even if this world follows the same system, his current abilities are painfully weak. Becoming the Fist King now feels like a distant dream. At this level, he cannot even defeat minor enemies, let alone challenge the bosses again. He wonders if he can truly grow stronger. Even in a world filled with monsters, dungeons, and skills, he still feels weak. His father looks at him, slightly confused, and tells him that accepting one's own weakness is the first step toward becoming stronger. He reassures him that he will improve from here on. Kazuya thanks his father and promises that he will become strong. His father then suggests he visit the training hall starting the next day. The following day, Kazuya arrives at the training hall filled with excitement. The trainer informs him that weapons are free for those under 15. Normally, a swordsman can only learn sword-related skills, yet Kazuya notices something strange. His skill sheet includes gun-related skills, which should not be possible. This means that while job classes exist, there are no real restrictions on learning skills, just like in the game. The skill he wants to obtain as soon as possible is Physical Ability Boost. He begins training immediately, pushing himself for 8 hours straight and using heal after every hit. Exhaustion quickly sets in, but he notices that the bleeding has stopped, and he can finally use heal properly. The skin on his hand begins to recover, though not completely. It feels as if he has pushed far beyond his limits, yet he manages to learn how to use heal effectively. However, his mana capacity is still an issue, and he has yet to acquire Physical Ability Boost. The trainers start to notice him returning again and again, striking the log without rest. One of them remarks that he trains for 8 hours every day, almost like someone possessed. Over the past week, Kazuya becomes certain that this world follows the same system as the game, meaning the knowledge he gained before can be applied here. Eventually, he learns physical ability boost and can now swing the mace at full power for an entire hour. His next goal is to raise his mace proficiency to level 10. While training, he notices a girl and her father nearby. The girl complains that her father only plays games, while Kazuya, growing tired of endlessly striking the log, considers carving it into a sculpture instead. She calls him strange, but her father finds his choice of weapon interesting. He points out that Kazuya is practicing seriously, though the girl assumes he is just fooling around. Her father disagrees, saying those are the eyes of someone devoted to a goal and that he will grow stronger because he does not care about others' opinions. Kazuya swings again, but loses control and fails. Another week passes, and just as he nearly completes the sculpture, it breaks apart once more. Frustration overwhelms him, and he throws a tantrum, questioning why it is so difficult. He begins to doubt whether his proficiency is even increasing, although he can now handle the mace with far less effort. The girl notices him again as he wishes he could check his status, then decides to change his training method. Suddenly, the log slips and flies toward the girl. He tries to warn her, but it is already too late. Without hesitation, he rushes forward and smashes it mid-air. She is left stunned. In that moment, he realizes he has learned the skill bash, meaning his mace proficiency has increased and his training was not wasted. He turns to her and asks if she is all right, but she just finds him weird. Later, they get to know each other better. The girl learns that he will be starting as a first year in April and introduces herself as Karen Tanya, adding that she will be a third year at the same school. Kazuya thanks her for the drink, and she tells him that if he ever runs into trouble, he can come to her. She admits she has been wanting to talk to him for a while. Confused, he listens as she mentions how he shows up every day and repeats the same intense training, which has turned him into something of a local celebrity. She points out that he can already use bash before even entering middle school. He casually replies that he only just learned it, which surprises her. She notes that it usually takes 3 years to master and takes his progress as clear proof of his hard work, adding that she needs to push herself as well. Kazuya then brings up a practical concern, whether there are any places besides the training grounds where he can swing his mace for free. Up until now, he has been buying logs with his allowance, and the cost is starting to catch up with him. Tania agrees that while the logs are cheap individually, the expense builds over time. He admits it already has, and if things continue like this, he will not be able to grow stronger. She suggests a different approach, hunting monsters, and tells him about a slime forest in the next town. Since he can already use bash, she believes he should be able to handle them. The idea excites him immediately, as hunting monsters was something he constantly did in the game. Before he leaves, she warns him that going too deep into the forest may lead to encounters with horned rabbits. The scene shifts as Kazuya begins hunting. He clearly enjoys the experience. This time, he is gaining real combat experience, leveling up, and earning money at the same time. After 3 hours, fatigue sets in, but he manages to gather enough materials. Since this is only meant to be a scouting trip, he decides to head back and makes a mental note to bring a bigger bag next time. Just then, a rattling sound echoes nearby. A horned rabbit appears. He curses himself for going too far in as the creature charges. He tries to use bash, but the rabbit is far too fast. Its speed is on a completely different level, making a clean vertical strike nearly impossible. Adjusting quickly, he switches to a horizontal bash and manages to hit it, but the attack has no effect. Worse, he notices his weapon has taken damage. The rabbit lunges again. This time, he realizes he cannot react in time. He gets hit. In that instant, the truth becomes clear. This is not a game. This is reality. He uses heal, but even a low-level monster proves overwhelming at that speed. If he fails to land a proper hit, he knows he will die. Forcing himself to stay calm, he decides to draw the rabbit closer and waits for the right moment. When the opening appears, he strikes again with bash. This time, it lands as a critical hit. The rabbit collapses. Breathing heavily, he mutters that he finally did it. If his timing had been off by even a fraction, he would have died. The realization sinks in. This world may follow game mechanics, but it is still real. He will have to change the way he thinks. He takes the horned rabbit with him, remembering that Tania mentioned he could exchange materials at the ward office. For the next week, he hunts in the slime forest from morning until evening. By selling the materials he gathers, he earns around 100,000 yen in just 7 days. Compared to training, fighting monsters feels far more rewarding. Now, he sets his sights on obtaining a skill sheet, an item that allows him to check his abilities at home. At the ward office, the receptionist thanks him for his hard work and hands him the sheet, instructing him to place a drop of blood on it to display his current stats. He expresses his gratitude, but she insists that they are the ones who should be thanking him. The materials he has brought over the past 2 weeks have been incredibly valuable. They have never had anyone deliver 20 kilograms of slime cores every single day. And as a result, Kazuya has become something of a celebrity there as well. At that moment, his parents arrive. He freezes in shock as they approach, immediately demanding to know what he is doing in a place like this. Kazuya's father tells him to be honest if he is having money problems. Kazuya tries to respond, but his father continues, mentioning rumors about a kid bringing in large amounts of materials. Curious, he decided to check for himself, and that is how he found him. He demands to know where those materials came from. Kazuya answers that he defeated the monsters himself. His father's expression hardens. He tells him not to lie, insisting Kazuya is not strong enough to do something like that. Fear creeps in as Kazuya begins to step away. His father reaches out to stop him, but Kazuya pulls back and says that if he is not going to believe him, then there is no point in explaining anything. In the end, nothing has changed. He may have been reborn into another world, but his father is still the same. He questions himself, wondering if he has changed at all. Soon, he prepares for the entrance ceremony. All that remains is to check the skill sheet he bought earlier. Once the appraisal is complete, it confirms what he expected. It did not take him 3 years to gain these skills. In middle school, students usually spend 3 years learning just one skill through practice and classes. But in this world, acquiring skills depends on raising weapon proficiency. He cannot understand how no one has realized this yet, but it proves his theory. Everything he learned in the game world applies here. That means becoming the Fist King is not impossible. In this world, he can finally prove his strength to his father. With that in mind, he decides to keep growing stronger, step by step. The day of the ceremony arrives. He asks his mother what she plans to do with all the photos she is taking. She smiles and says it is his big day, so she wants a few more. He sighs and looks around, noting how massive the school is. His mother brings up what happened the day before, explaining that his father is simply worried about him. He gives a half-hearted response as the ceremony begins. Tanya steps forward to congratulate the new students, revealing that she is the student council president. Kazuya is surprised. They attend the same school, yet he never knew she held such an important position. He notices how different she feels now, her presence far more composed than at the training grounds. She continues her speech, explaining that the next 3 years will bring many challenges. By supporting each other, they can grow stronger together. She encourages them not to give up, so they can become capable adventurers, and expresses her hope that one day they will protect the world. As she finishes, the hall fills with applause. Kazuya finds himself impressed. Then the principal, Todoroki, suddenly takes the stage. He introduces himself and asks if everyone is familiar with the school's skill appraisal system. Kazuya is caught off guard when he reveals that the school employs a full-time skill appraiser. He introduces Ujihara, who greets the students politely. The principal then makes an announcement. Any new student confident in their abilities should come to the stage for a special appraisal session. The seniors react with mild annoyance, recognizing it as the usual form of hazing. Without warning, the principal points at a student, leaving him confused. Standing beside him, Kazuya steps forward and asks if he can borrow a weapon. The principal smirks and agrees. Both his mother and Tanya are shocked. Ujihara quietly apologizes, explaining that the principal is only trying to motivate the new students. Kazuya assures him it is fine, as he was curious whether his skill sheet was accurate. Though slightly unsure, he gathers himself and releases his power in front of everyone. Ujihara freezes. The entire audience falls silent. The principal laughs, praising him and declaring that Kazuya will become a celebrity by tomorrow. He then casually apologizes to Ujihara, remarking that Kazuya still seems inexperienced. Still stunned, Ujihara reveals that Kazuya possesses Bash at level 2. The principal is visibly shaken. Someone like him should not already have a skill. He was only an elementary school student until recently. Before anyone can process it, Kazuya demonstrates another ability, Heal, leaving Ujihara even more astonished. Calmly, Kazuya adds that he has more. The principal grows irritated, insisting that children should listen to their teachers. Ignoring him, Kazuya activates another skill, a buff-type magic ability. The crowd erupts in shock as whispers spread. Everyone begins to wonder the same thing. Who exactly is he? Bash, heal, and on top of that, he even possesses a magic buff. Just who is he? Ujihara invites Kazuya to another room, genuinely astonished, admitting he never imagined Kazuya would have already acquired 3 skills. Kazuya thanks Tanya for her help, and she assures him it was nothing. The principal cannot join them, occupied with other parents. Tanya wonders if something happened, and Ujihara notes that many parents are curious about Kazuya's education and whether he was homeschooled. His mother listens attentively as Ujihara continues, revealing that he examined Kazuya's skill sheet and discovered that his bash skill has already reached level 10. Kazuya points out that he was told it was level 2 earlier. Ujihara clarifies that the difference is due to weapon proficiency. The skill was previously limited by low proficiency, but now that his club mastery has reached level 10, he can use bash at full power. Kazuya reflects on how games often operate with similar mechanics. He then brings up the principal's earlier remark about skill users having the option to skip the academy. He states his intention to take that path, revealing he does not plan to attend school because he wants to grow stronger faster. His mother attempts to intervene, but he continues, insisting he needs the strength to defeat any monster on his own. Ujihara points out that no one becomes strong alone. He acknowledges Kazuya's talent and hard work, but emphasizes that attending school will allow him to meet others and develop further. His mother remarks that they will discuss the matter with the principal before heading home and reminds Kazuya to be careful on the way back. Ujihara bids him farewell, adding that they should also talk to his father once they return. Taniya then approaches and asks if he would like to walk home together. On the way, Kazuya apologizes for earlier events. She admits she was genuinely surprised when she heard he might skip school. He confesses he is still unsure and plans to discuss it with his parents, but reiterates that he wants to spend his time becoming stronger, as he can barely defeat a one-horned rabbit at the moment. He believes the classes would take too long. Observing the teachers and students made him realize how desperate others are to learn skills. He argues that if students trained 8 hours a day for a month, they could achieve more. Taniya interrupts, explaining that not everyone can dedicate themselves that way. Most students spend 3 years just to learn a single skill. She acknowledges his hard work, but others cannot match it. Kazuya realizes his words hurt her feelings. She apologizes, saying it was strange of her to react that way. They part ways, and she hopes to see him at school. Back home, his father questions whether the skill sheet is genuinely his. Kazuya confirms that he purchased it with money he earned. His father asks if the story he told is true. Kazuya challenges him, asking if he believes him now, but his father admits he still cannot. Acquiring so many skills in such a short time seems impossible. Kazuya recounts training by striking a log 8 hours every day for a month. His father worries, noting that Kazuya stopped playing games and suddenly started hunting slimes, acting like a completely different person, even questioning whether the skill sheet is real. Kazuya asks if he is implying he fabricated it. His father apologizes, saying he still cannot fully believe it and wants to see the truth with his own eyes. Kazuya agrees, and they head to the Izu Kogen field. At the entrance, their cards are checked and verified. Kazuya inquires about the purpose of the card, and his father informs him that it is a graduation certificate from an adventurer school. Hunting monsters in areas like this requires at least one certified member in the party, which is why amateurs cannot hunt slimes alone. Kazuya is stunned and promises to be careful. As the gate opens, a wide smile spreads across his face, filled with amazement. Upon arrival, his mother reminds him that both she and his father need to gear up. Kazuya is surprised. He never expected a place like this to exist. He realizes that he can level up much faster here. His father checks if he is ready and whether he is comfortable using a sword. Kazuya freezes, observing their fully equipped appearances. His father notes that proper gear is essential in battle, and while using guns is standard practice, he wants to see what Kazuya can do with just a sword. They begin walking, with his father reminding him to stay alert and careful. His father tells him that if they spot a monster, Kazuya must hide and mask his presence. When the enemy lowers its guard, he should finish it in a single strike. Just as he begins to respond, Kazuya notices faint footsteps following them. 4 creatures soon appear, and tension rises. His father readies his weapon, but the wolves are too fast to hit. Kazuya steps forward, charging directly at them. Determined to raise his sword proficiency, he closes the distance and cuts one down with a swift strike. His father watches, stunned. Kazuya mocks the remaining wolves, taunting them with his skill. These creatures see him as prey. It is no longer a simple encounter, but a fight for survival. The battle ends almost instantly. As he catches his breath, another group of monsters, Mandragoras, emerges. His father warns him to retreat, explaining that they can summon reinforcements, yet Kazuya ignores him, activating physical ability boost and leaping straight into the fray. With speed and precision, he cuts them down one by one. His father can hardly believe what he is seeing. Kazuya recalls his game experience. Striking before they fully emerge is the key, and 2 hits with bash are enough to finish them. Suddenly, a grizzly appears at the edge of the forest. His father freezes, unsure how such a creature got there. The beast lunges, and Kazuya steps in, taking the hit. It throws him into the air and devours him before his parents' eyes. In the next instant, a slash cuts through the grizzly from within, and Kazuya emerges, having torn his way out. Shocked by the sudden attack, he quickly uses heal, confirming that his parents are unharmed. Wearing a small, relieved smile, he asks if he has truly grown stronger. His mother rushes forward, embracing him tightly and crying tears of relief, leaving him puzzled. His father, eyes glistening, gently pats him, grateful he is safe. At last, he admits that Kazuya has indeed become stronger. Someone inquires Ujihara for his guidance and inquires how Tanya is progressing. He replies that her sword proficiency has increased, but she has yet to acquire any skills. During the break, her friend praises her progress, and she thanks her in return. She quietly wonders when she will finally learn a skill. Her friend tells her to take it easy, reminding her that they are still at the beginning of their 3rd year. They overhear a group of boys in front of them talking about Kazuya. They mention that he has already learned a skill and that he is completely self-taught. They even claim that he took down a grizzly. Her friend adds that he has not attended school since then and remarks that it must all come down to talent. The boys complain that it is unfair and say that if they had talent like his, they would not even bother coming to school. Tanya suddenly steps in and calls them out, saying they are wrong. She insists that Kazuya works harder than anyone else and should not be dismissed so easily. One of them apologizes and jokingly assumes that she does not like people speaking badly about her crush. Her face turns crimson and she lunges at them. The boys quickly run away, teasing that the rumors must be true and that they are rooting for her. She stands there in confusion, wondering if rumors about her and Kazuya are spreading. Elsewhere, Kazuya suddenly pauses, feeling as if someone mentioned his name. His father notices and wonders if something is wrong. Kazuya replies that it is nothing, though he felt like he heard someone call him. The principal chuckles and remarks that he has become quite the celebrity. He explains that they wanted to discuss Kazuya's future based on the information gathered from Ujihara and the school's official policies. He apologizes for the delay. Kazuya's father responds that it is not an issue and mentions that they visited the Izu field the previous day. The principal asks if it was truly Kazuya who defeated the grizzly bear. His father confirms that he and his wife have decided to let Kazuya choose his own path. His mother adds that she had her doubts until she saw him fight. She admits that he has already reached a level beyond their control and that it was the first time she had seen him so passionate about something. His father continues, saying that although it may seem reckless, it made him genuinely happy. The principal then presents a plan prepared by the student council. They are left stunned. Kazuya is being granted free attendance along with a letter of recommendation to the guild. Confused, they ask for clarification. The principal clarifies that this is the best course of action for Kazuya. His mother objects, pointing out that he is still just a child. The principal calmly states that there are no middle schools in Japan capable of properly supporting someone like him, and this arrangement will allow him to grow. At that moment, Kazuya agrees, stating that he will accept it if it allows him to become stronger. His father sighs before agreeing as well. He thanks Kazuya but sets one condition: he must return home for dinner every single night. Kazuya promises, and the decision is finalized. The meeting is scheduled for next Sunday at the Shizuoka Guild. When he arrives, he is amazed by his surroundings. In the game, he only ever came here to accept quests, but seeing it in reality feels entirely different. He notices adventurers equipped with all kinds of gear, though he feels no need for armor himself. A receptionist approaches him and asks if he is lost. He shows her the letter and explains that he received a recommendation from his school. The entire guild falls silent in shock. They cannot believe that a child has arrived with such credentials. The receptionist hesitates, unsure how to respond, but the guildmaster arrives and tells her that Kazuya is his guest. He introduces himself as Jinai and confirms that the principal had already informed him about Kazuya. Inside his office, he asks about Kazuya's abilities. Kazuya replies that he has 3 skills, which surprises him. He explains that he came here to grow stronger and wants to take on quests. Jinai chuckles, appreciating his determination. He admits that there has been a recent surge in monster activity and that they could use more capable individuals. However, he firmly states that they do not send children into dangerous situations. Kazuya insists that he is not a child. Jinai teasingly remarks that he carries himself like an old man, though he is clearly joking. He then asks if the injury on Kazuya's body came from the grizzly, noting that no one else seemed to notice it. Jinai grows serious and reminds him that this is not a game. If someone dies here, they die for real. That is why adventurers must do everything possible to minimize risk. A true adventurer protects both himself and his comrades, and Kazuya is still lacking in that regard. Still, he decides there is no point in lecturing him further and instead proposes a test. Kazuya looks confused, so Jinai explains that if he can complete a quest without any issues, he will officially be recognized as an adventurer. Kazuya agrees without hesitation, Jinai then informs him that he will be assigned a partner. Kazuya immediately objects, saying that he works alone, only to be struck on the head by a woman. She scolds him for being arrogant. Jinai introduces her as Otamao, the guild's dismantling specialist. She appears annoyed by the assignment, while Kazuya questions her attitude. Jinai reveals that their quest is to subjugate a cockatrice. Shimizu warns that it is a dangerous mission and points out that Mao specializes only in dismantling. Jinai simply remarks that Kazuya seems eager to take it on, while Mao calls him a complete weirdo. A cockatrice possesses the body of a rooster, but its tail resembles that of a snake. It stands around 2 to 3 meters tall and is highly aggressive. The test given to Kazuya is simple. He must kill one of them. They arrive at the designated area, and Kazuya prepares himself. He thanks Mao, but she reminds him that he can still back out. He acknowledges her concern, yet she continues warning him about the danger and questions whether he has a death wish. Irritated, he tells her to stop talking if she has no intention of fighting. He instructs her to focus on carving the monsters instead, which only angers her further. Before the argument can escalate, they spot their target. However, it is not just one, it is an entire flock. Mao quickly reminds him that the plan is to lure a single cockatrice away. Ignoring her, he charges straight into the group. Using all his strength, he cuts one down instantly. His speed overwhelms them, and he swiftly subjugates another. Mao watches in shock, unable to understand why he looks like he is enjoying the fight. The cockatrice's weak point is its heart, which is protected by thick chest muscles. The entire battle depends on whether one can strike that precise spot. The next creature blocks his attack, but Kazuya forces an opening and finishes it off. Mao grows even more astonished. His knowledge and strength rival that of a high-ranking adventurer, perhaps even surpassing them. Earlier, back at the guild, Mao had hesitated to accept the assignment. Jinai had explained that Kazuya is a prodigy and that the guild would like him to join. He even showed her a newspaper, emphasizing that Kazuya possesses extraordinary power. That is why he wanted her to assess him and determine whether he is truly worthy. Back in the field, Kazuya tells her to begin carving, and she reluctantly gets to work. As she works, she reflects on what she has just witnessed. Fighting in close quarters without even using a gun is something she could never imagine doing, even if she had lived 100 lives. She questions whether anyone could truly keep up with him. At the same time, she doubts whether someone like him would fit into the guild at all. Still, she decides that it is not her place to judge and resolves to simply report her findings to Jinai. Suddenly, the tails of the fallen cockatrices begin to move. Even after the main body dies, the snake-like tail continues to survive. Mao finds herself surrounded, and her gun is still in the truck. She tries to steady herself, reminding herself that without the main body, they are just snakes. However, when one lunges at her, fear takes over, and she instinctively closes her eyes. In an instant, Kazuya eliminates them all. She opens her eyes in shock. He appears satisfied, having just learned a new skill, Shockwave. With this ability, he can now deal with multiple enemies at once. He turns to her and apologizes, admitting that he forgot to handle the tails earlier. He asks if she is hurt, and she replies that she is fine. Although she is clearly impressed, she hides it and claims that she could have handled it on her own. At that moment, more cockatrices begin to approach. Kazuya excitedly states that he will take care of them and tells her to prepare for more carving before rushing off again. She watches him in disbelief and quietly mutters that it is impossible. Mao swiftly carves the cockatrice and separates its bones and feathers. She is finally done, and our lad is astonished by her speed. She compliments that he is impressive as well. Kazuya responds that he still has a long way to go, and he would like to hunt a little more before they leave, but she interrupts and informs him they are going back. He insists he can still fight, and she questions him about his sword. He replies he will manage, and she reminds him he has neither a weapon nor mana. He needs to value his life more. That is, if he wants to join the guild, otherwise he will endanger himself and his comrades. He responds coldly that getting stronger is his only goal, and he does not care about anything else. Mao notices he's going through a reckless phase and orders that they head back. At the guild, Jinai is shocked, and Mao tells them to keep it down. He cheerfully informs Kazuya that he has passed and will be appointed as a rank 2 adventurer. He announces to the entire guild that they have a new member. Mao cannot tolerate the situation, and since it has nothing to do with her, she leaves. She dislikes troublesome matters, and it also reminds her of someone else, which makes it difficult to watch. Kazuya realizes he did not get the chance to thank her. Before he can go after her, another person stops him. The man suggests he join their party, and Kazuya looks confused, so he explains that parties are groups that take quests together. He adds that they are all rank 2 as well, among the best, and even faster than Mao. The girl remarks that he is implying they are far better than Mao, who cannot even fight. Shimizu becomes irritated, and Jinai tells her to calm down. This brings back memories, as the same situation occurred in the game. As his level increased, his relationships became complicated. He was approached by bothersome individuals, and he once spent an entire day dealing with them. He asks the man to show him his knife. He examines it and recognizes it. He then uses it on his own hand, and blood begins to spill. He tells them not to look down on him, stating that their knife cannot even cut off an arm, yet they expect him to believe they can dismantle monsters. People like them have no right to mock Mao. The men call him insane and leave, exactly as he intended. Suddenly, Mao grabs him, tears in her eyes, and asks if he has lost his mind. She orders Harumi to bring bandages and potions. She urges her to hurry because he has no mana. He asks why she is doing this, but she cuts him off, saying she does not know. If he dies, it will all be over. He will never grow stronger, and he will never see his loved one again. Tears stream down her face. He apologizes and wonders why he cannot say anything. He thanks her, then wonders if she will form a party with him. She is stunned, and he continues, saying that with her by his side, he can become even stronger. She is taken aback, and when he adds that he will be the leader, she becomes irritated. They begin to argue, and Shimizu remarks that they seem to get along well. Kazuya is training as usual when his mother speaks up, asking if something good has happened. He tells her not to startle him, and she reminds him that breakfast is ready. His father warns him not to overdo it, and Kazuya simply replies that he is training as usual. He then shows them his certificate, revealing that he has taken down 35 cockatrices. Both parents are left dumbfounded. He admits he still needs to improve his mana, and his father is astonished that he has already reached rank 2. After thanking them for the meal, he promises to return by dinner. His mother smiles, imagining that he must have made some friends, while his father quietly reflects that he didn't expect it to affect him so deeply. He only wanted to show off a little more of his cool side. She tells him he should be proud that he is growing up. Later, Kazuya apologizes for being late. Mao remarks on his extreme tardiness, while Shimizu greets him warmly. Mao scolds him for keeping them waiting, and he feels a rush of joy at the thought of sharing a meal with the two of them. Shimizu thanks him for coming and hands over 10 million yen for the cockatrices. He thanks her and mentions that he has been immersed in training over the past week, but plans to return to the guild next week. She warns him not to disappear like that again, then adds that there is one more matter, forming an official party with Mao. Kazuya agrees immediately, surprising her with his quick response. Turning to Mao, he repeats the offer, and she stubbornly accepts. He thanks her, and she reminds him that in return, he must promise that both of them will survive. Without hesitation, he agrees. Shimizu then places a return stone in his hands, an item allowing them to teleport back to the guild whenever necessary, a final lifeline they must always keep. They reintroduce themselves and shake hands, with Kazuya offering that she can call him by his first name. Mao asks if he has time, leading him to a surprise, the top weapon store in Shizuoka. He marvels at the variety of equipment. She mentions that since his weapon broke, he might need a replacement, and he appreciates her thoughtfulness. A bulky man appears, the store owner Sugiyama, who immediately impresses Kazuya. Mao requests that he help find a suitable weapon. Sugiyama examines Kazuya's hand, praises him, and announces that he may select from his finest creations, leaving everyone else stunned. He comments on how outrageous it is that most people now rely on guns, while he continues crafting clubs and swords, and adds that what is displayed is only a fraction of what he keeps in the back. He presents a sword forged from dragon bone, balanced for offense, defense, and magic resistance. Kazuya notes its lightness, and Sugiyama sets the price at 2 million yen, reflecting the craftsmanship involved. However, Kazuya's attention is drawn to another item. Sugiyama admits he did not expect Kazuya to notice a magical staff made of pure mithril, the Sugiyama Deluxe. Mao is shocked, and even Kazuya pauses at the absurdity. He chooses it, explaining that since mithril enhances magic, his buff and healing skills will be stronger, and he can train staff proficiency to eventually learn magic. There is no reason not to take it. Sugiyama beams, revealing that it is his greatest creation. Despite recommending it to many magicians, no one bought it, but now he wants to see if Kazuya is worthy. Kazuya looks confused, and Sugiyama tells him to ready the weapon. Mao tries to intervene, but he reassures her that he is only taking a stance. Sugiyama observes closely, impressed, and declares that this is exactly how an adventurer should be. Back in the shop, an adventurer startles the receptionist, but Sugiyama appears and strikes him, stating that worthless people like him should not pretend. He declares that their reliance on guns has turned them into cowards. He explains that the style of fighting has changed drastically over the years. More and more people have shifted to guns, choosing to take down enemies from a safe distance. However, this has also caused adventurers to neglect their training. They have begun to lose the desire to grow stronger. He admits he could not accept this, yet he had no choice if he wanted to survive. He kept making excuses, telling himself that times had changed. But then, someone like Kazuya appeared. Despite his old age, he finds himself hoping again. Sugiyama asks Kazuya if he understands how harsh the path he's chosen is. With guns, he could become stronger easily, but he refuses them, seeking a different kind of strength. Sugiyama is impressed. Kazuya admits he doesn't fully understand everything, but he knows he can't rely on shortcuts. There's only one goal he wants to achieve. Sugiyama notices Kazuya lowering his weapon and senses the intense bloodlust in him, wondering if he's really just a middle schooler. Then he smirks and says he was only testing him, agreeing to sell him the weapon. Kazuya asks if he's sure, and Sugiyama tells him to bring it back for maintenance. Kazuya agrees and promises he will grow stronger. Mao, annoyed, asks what just happened. Sugiyama explains that Kazuya had given him a look like he was about to end him for real, adding that only fools would dare challenge him. He also wonders if Mao can keep up with him. Mao replies that he's just a normal lad. Kazuya looks confused and wonders if she doesn't realize how impressive he is. She calls him insane and hits him on the head. Sugiyama laughs, saying they make a good team. He is also surprised when Kazuya pays in cash, which uses up all his money. Even so, Kazuya now owns an exceptional weapon. Mao is pleased, but her surprise grows when Kazuya hands her a gift, a mithril carving knife. He explains that Sugiyama gave it to him to thank her for agreeing to form a party with him. She protests that she only did it for the money, but still thanks him. Kazuya insists that he should be the one thanking her. She then asks if they should go hunting tomorrow, but Kazuya says he already has plans. He needs to attend school and shows her a notice about a tournament. She recognizes it, and he says he wants to participate. She encourages him, believing he will do well, but then she notices that today is the last day to register. Kazuya freezes, shocked. The scene shifts to a classroom, where the teacher explains the upcoming tournament. The details of the fights have been kept secret, but the students are told to perform well if they want to be recommended for the prefecture tournament. One student sees this as a great opportunity, and his name is Naruko. His friend Shigure tells him to stop acting like a child. Nanase also shows confidence, and the teacher reminds them that higher-grade students can participate as well. They should not focus on getting hurt, even though every year many first-year students are sent to the hospital. Still, it is possible to defeat upperclassmen, and the teacher reveals that Tanya accomplished this last year. She has been invited to share some encouraging words. Tanya introduces herself, and Naruko asks how she managed to win. She explains that last year's event involved monster subjugation, and she killed a cockatrice in 2 hours. He questions whether they are not E rank, and Shigure clarifies that some students are actually D rank. Tanya admits they still do not know the exact format of this year's tournament, but she promises to give it her all. She encourages everyone to try their best and inspire each other to grow stronger. At that moment, another student raises his hand and points out that they have a powerful cheater this year. He asks what they will do if that person participates. His name is Kageyama. Tanya responds that while Kazuya is indeed strong, no one understands how hard he has worked, so calling him a cheater is disrespectful. Kageyama argues that Kazuya already possessed skills before enrolling and even defeated a grizzly. He questions how anyone can feel motivated knowing that, and claims that even Tanya is nothing compared to him. The bell rings, and he stands up and leaves. Tanya reflects on his words, admitting that if she were in his position, she might feel the same. Kazuya's strength is so overwhelming that she cannot even measure it. At that moment, someone interrupts her. A student named Mono thanks her for the encouraging speech. He explains that he enrolled because he admires her. She tells him to calm down. He apologizes for his nervousness, and she asks what he wanted to discuss. He reveals that the principal was about to force him to participate in an appraisal, but Kazuya stepped in and saved him. Since Kazuya has not attended school since then, he is worried about him. Tanya asks why he is bringing this up with her, and he awkwardly questions whether she and Kazuya are dating. She becomes irritated and grabs him, shaking him in frustration. At that moment, another student appears and accuses her of dating Kazuya when she is supposed to be his girlfriend. Mono asks who he is, and she explains that he is a third year named Sasahara. She once saved him, and since then he has developed strange ideas. Sasahara looks at Mono and demands to know if he is the one. Mono tries to explain, but Sasahara refuses to listen and charges at him. Tanya immediately blocks his sword. He looks confused, and she states that she is in a bad mood and will not hold back. She swiftly defeats him and leaves him unconscious. She also warns him not to address her without honorifics. Mono stands there in amazement and calls her incredible. She replies that it was nothing special. At that moment, they hear a noise. Mao and Kazuya arrive. Mao keeps telling him to check the schedule, while he reminds her that he has already apologized. She points out that he only has 5 minutes left and needs to hurry. He notices Tanya, and she questions why he is with Mao. Mao greets her calmly. The receptionist informs Kazuya that he has successfully registered for the tournament. Tanya feels relieved that they made it in time. Kazuya thanks her, then checks on her friend, who she says might be fine. She admits she did not expect him to participate, assuming he did not care about school. Kazuya clarifies that this is not true. He has begun to feel that training alone has limits, and joining the tournament will help him grow stronger. He also wants to gauge how strong others his age truly are. Tanya then asks how he and Mao know each other. Kazuya hesitates briefly before recounting everything. She remarks that forming a party must be quite a coincidence, noting she did not realize her sister used to team up with Mao. She explains that before leaving for university, her sister's party had become well known. Although her sister has been traveling and fighting monsters across the country, the recent spike in monster activity makes Tanya feel she is putting herself at risk. Mao cannot ignore someone as reckless as Kazuya. He seems confused, unable to fully grasp what she means. She then warns him firmly that she will not forgive him if he ever makes Mao cry. Kazuya agrees without hesitation. Tanya decides to show him around the school. Kazuya mentions he had planned to train afterward, but she encourages him to take his time. Meanwhile, a group of students observes from a distance. They are Kageyama's followers. Noticing Kazuya's registration, worried they might end up injured instead of winning, they ask Kageyama what they should do. He steps forward, correcting them that the most important factor when facing a boss is not just teamwork, but information, understanding the opponent's abilities and limits. Their goal is to gather as much data on Kazuya as possible. At the gym, Tanya shows Kazuya the tournament training area, explaining it remains open after school for students. He observes that everyone seems tense, without enjoying themselves. Nearby, Naruko asks Shigure to throw another 100 balls. Shigure initially refuses, but Naruko convinces him. He warns that during the latter half, he will act as if trying to kill Naruko, which excites him further. Kazuya watches in amazement. Suddenly, someone tries to ambush him from behind. He senses it instantly and blocks in time. From a distance, Kageyama records everything. Kazuya demands to know who the attacker is, but before he can hear an answer, another student strikes. He dodges effortlessly. Facing two opponents at once feels manageable, confirming his ability to handle combat with people. Tanya tries to question the attackers, but Kazuya stops her. Kageyama continues observing, determined to find a way to defeat him, quietly cursing under his breath. Tanya intervenes, stating that students cannot duel without permission. Kazuya replies that he doesn't mind, as long as he gets to fight. The two boys charge, but he evades their attacks and defeats them with his bare hands. He then taunts the next challenger. Fists are typically a weapon for high-rank jobs, so he knows he cannot fully master them yet. Still, their versatility appeals to him. Despite having maxed many skill proficiencies, fist proficiency has not appeared on his status sheet. The only explanation is that his level is not high enough. Since he has avoided leveling up through monster fights, he decides to fight people instead. This is why he joined the school tournament. He charges at his next opponent, who is shocked by the power of Kazuya's bare fists. Kazuya realizes that careful observation allows him to read his opponent's sword movements. Whether fighting monsters or humans, observation is key. From a distance, Kageyama notes that Kazuya shows no fear of injury. Kazuya comments that repeated strikes against armor have already fractured his bones, then casually uses his healing skill. He states that he aims to make his fists his primary weapon, so he intends to keep his opponent around a little longer. Kageyama continues recording every detail, quietly laughing. Shigure watches in awe and reassures Naruko that he will grow strong in time. Naruko cannot believe what he sees. Kazuya is fast, powerful, and only using his bare hands. Kazuya asks his opponent if he even plans to attack, admitting he is growing tired of chasing him. Irritated, the boy finally strikes, but Kazuya dodges effortlessly. He notes that psychological pressure can be as effective as physical attacks. Observing the opponent glancing away, he realizes Kageyama is controlling him. The boy attacks again, now understanding that Kageyama is the true opponent. Kazuya stares him down and then unleashes his full strength, sending him crashing into the wall. Kageyama laughs, admitting Kazuya is impressive, though he mutters curses under his breath and promises to reveal his true plan tomorrow. Kazuya replies that he is looking forward to it. Tanya rushes over to check on the fallen student while internally questioning her own chances against Kazuya. Still, she refuses to give up. She must win and catch up to her sister.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.